What's happening, guys? It's your boy, Uncle P. I am back. You know what, guys? I am loving bringing you guys content again. MMA is something that I love talking about. For those of you who does not know, I used to be an MMA promoter. I intend on being one again, and once South Africa sorts out their unfortunately racial bias in the MMA industry. Yeah, for those of you who do not know, with the whole Drinkers thing and everything, it really shook a lot of things. The MMA industry in South Africa is died. For those that were in the industry that are MMA fighters, you remember once upon a time there were over 10 amateur promotions. There were several pro promotions, but unfortunately, people just got tired of hosting events because they had to deal with a sanctioning body that was just not fair and was very unnecessary and made things extremely difficult for promoters. And today, we barely have any MMA promotions in the country, except obviously, your EFC, and I believe there's one or two amateur promotions that are still running in the country. But MMA in the country is slowly dying. But I am so glad, but in the continent, it's not. Because when you look at Nigeria, Ghana, and all these other countries, Cameroon, MMA is actually growing in those countries, so that is great, including Angola. Oh, yes, how could I forget? It is growing, so I am truly, truly proud for Africa for doing that. And a lot of the fighters are getting very inspired to get back into the game because of what's happening in the UFC and how easily UFC is becoming accessible in Africa. I think Dana White needs to look into, maybe bringing some of the athletes here and just doing a tour of Africa and having a small event in Yana. It doesn't have to be a massive one, just to promote the sport in the country, or the continent rather. All right, guys, so we are speaking Aljamain Sterling versus O'Malley. Yes, guys, I know. I forgot bro's name earlier on the other video. There's just a lot that I shoot most of this content all on the same day. Some of them are different days, but some on the same day. So you got a lot of things in your head, and you just forgot a nigga's name, man. It's not like those niggas are paying my bills. Damn. All right, guys, let's go. All right, so guys, we know that Aljamain Sterling has made it very clear that he wasn't ready to compete yet. He wanted to take a bit of time off, and I personally believe that the bro deserved it. When he fought Triple C, I thought the wrestling of Triple C and the fact that all these athletes, including John Jones, my man, went all the way to Triple C to train his wrestling. I thought, yeah, Aljo has got a problem right here. It's gonna be tricky for Aljo to be able to handle this, and Aljo handled himself like a champ. Now, many of you may say that Triple C won that fight. I don't see how you guys see that Triple C won that fight. Let me know below. Maybe I'll go rewatch the fight. Tell me which rounds you thought he won, and we can break that fight down. I don't mind shooting that video. Now, Dana White forces Aljamain Sterling, who is the champion, which I personally believe that Dana White does not want. I don't think Aljamain Sterling is one of those guys that is loved by many fans, and his fights are not as exciting, but I am an Aljamain fan. Every time bro is fighting, I follow him on social media and everything. I support him big time. Now, he's going to be fighting Sean O'Malley. Now, I've watched most of Sean O'Malley's fights. I've seen how Sean O'Malley fights, how he moves and everything. So him and Aljamain, it's a very interesting fight. I think the stand-up exchanges are going to be extremely interesting. I think the ground game is going to be fun too. The reality is Aljamain is the champion, and he has proven that he can adjust every single fight. And he's just getting better. It's not even about him getting better. I think it's just that he's becoming more calmer and understanding that, you don't need to do too much. You just need to do enough to get through the fight. So I personally think in this fight here, it's going to be extremely interesting. Who takes it? Well, I think Aljo takes this fight. I just think Aljo is more experienced. I think he's going to be much calmer. I think he's going to have more strength than Sean O'Malley. I think if this fight goes into the ground, as much as Sean O'Malley has his jiu-jitsu, grappling and all that, I think Aljo's grappling is just a little better. And I see Aljo taking O'Malley's back and either submitting him with a rear naked choke, or I see this fight ending in a ground and pound. I think this fight is going to end with Aljo and Steel champion. I think it's going to be an extremely, extremely interesting fight to watch. It's going to be very fun. If this fight goes all the way to the championship rounds, it's definitely going to favor Aljo more. But I don't think it gets there. I think this fight Well, it might. It might. I think it ends in the third and the fourth round, and Alger submits. It all depends on how quickly he wants to get out of there. I think this is all in his control, and he decides where this fight goes. So I'm really excited for this fight. I honestly do not think Aljo is going to lose his belt. After he wins this fight, I just don't see anybody else here in this division for him. I think that's where he lays his belt, depending on whether what happens. Oh yeah, Charles Oliveira is going to be fighting, so the lightweight title is also in contention. We're going to be talking about that next, which is Charles Oliveira versus Makachev. That's going to be a very interesting fight to see. We're going to be discussing that because there's a lot happening there. So Aljo also wanted to boost himself up to that division. How does he perform in that division? Well, with the top boys, it's gonna be a bit tricky. Those boys are quite tough. I think Aljo versus Charles is gonna be very interesting to see. But in general, I think this is his division. I think if he's done with this division, he should just retire. For him to go up and just kind of taint his own legacy and all that. I don't think he does well in a bigger division, despite the fact that he cuts a lot of weight and he might be slightly strong in those divisions. I think he should just stay here, dominate, finish whoever he needs to finish. And if he ends up losing the title and he gets a rematch, try that rematch. If he gets the rematch and wins it, retire. If he loses the rematch, well, there's also reason to retire. But Aljo versus Sean, oh, I keep saying Sean. Why is Sean? O'Malley. O'Malley. Sean O'Malley. That's his name. That's why I keep confusing with Sean Strickland. I really don't like Sean Strickland. That's why his name is stuck in my head. I had to watch some of the content in order to speak about him because he apparently might be fighting easy. But yeah, guys, on this fight, I definitely think Aljo is taking it. You guys let me know what your guys think on the comments below. Aljo versus Sean, who takes it? I'm your boy Uncle P. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.